Hello and welcome to NOV Live. I'm Michael Gaines and glad you are joining us today as we continue our conversation, bringing you technical experts and technology as we dive in deep and provide expert analysis and insight on all of the technology helping shape our world in the oil and gas and energy space. So we have a great show for you today talking about a technology that really has made a mainstay on rigs really across the world. And now we have an opportunity to dive in deep and talk about an enhancement there that I think those of you that are familiar will appreciate. So looking forward to that conversation. So before we dive in, want to bring in Shelby DeMaine to talk about how you can be a part of today's conversation and what that looks like. So Shelby, good to see you.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, it's good to see you as well, and I hope you had a great week as well. So there are a couple different ways that folks watching at home or at work can get involved. And the first and maybe the easiest, I'd say, is by commenting below. So I see in the comments already. If you want to do a practice round, you can let us know where you're from. But I love looking at it. I already see Dubai, California, Rio, Brazil, all kinds of really great places. So let us know where you're tuning in from. And then later in the question, if you have any questions later in the show, if you have any questions for our guest, you can ask those as well by commenting below and letting us know all your thoughts and anything you'd like to ask our guests. And then after the show, if you would like to reach us, there's still a couple different ways. So even after we're live and maybe we're not looking at the comments every second like we are during the show, you can still email us, and that's at socialmedia@nov.com. And you can just shoot us a quick message there, and we check that inbox every single day and love reading all of our viewers' emails there. And then if you wanted to give us a call, you can do that as well. So we're going to have the number up on the screen, and it's country code +1 346 223 4799. So you can give us a call there. I love this option because when you leave a voicemail, you can stay anonymous, or you can let us know where you work, where you're from, and we love to feature you on a future episode. And I know I mentioned it last week, but I'm just so excited I can't help but mention it again. If you want to watch any of our past episodes, you can do so now at nov.com/live. It's a great site. You can go and check us out there. And again, if you have any questions, even if it's a past episode, you can even ask us questions about our first episode, and we'll do our best to answer those in email or through the phone messaging system. So would love to hear from you there. And as we do every week, it is now the time where we ask you a question. So it's time for the Rig Geek Post of the Week.
Rig Geeks Post of the Week.
All right, I'm really excited about this one. So we actually have some images that are going to go along with this Rig Geek question. But if you're new to the show, so I'm going to ask you a question about this photo here. And if you think you know the answer, go ahead and comment it below. Let us know what you think. And at the end of the show, I'm going to reveal it. And I think this one's especially awesome for all of our Rig Geeks in the comments. Really quite a throwback. So we're asking this week, and we have the question. We'll get that up on the screen as well. But what was the nickname of the first iron roughneck? Here we go. There it is. What was the nickname of the first iron roughneck that Varco launched in the 1970s? I love this kind of throwback flyer. And we have another photo that we're going to show at the end of the show when we give the answer. So stick around to see an equally awesome throwback photo and hear what the nickname of that first iron roughneck was. But of course, let us know if you think you know the answer. Comment it below.
Yeah, I wish I had the artistic skills to draw something like that. I do not, in zero measure, have that ability. But certainly, yeah, that was a good depiction of our Rig Geek post. Great. All right. Well, thanks, Shelby. Look forward to seeing you in the comments and certainly seeing our viewers in the comments as well. So as we mentioned at the top of the show, today's conversation actually revolves around, as Shelby mentioned, as we saw, the Iron Roughneck. And specifically, we're talking about an upgrade offering that is associated with that. But before we get too far into the details of the Iron Roughneck, what it is, what it does, how it works, and what that means, we want to go ahead and introduce today's guest experts. So we have today with us Mr. Daniel Meinders, who's the product line manager for pipe handling here at NOV, and also Chip Russo, who is the strategic account manager. So Chip, Daniel, thanks for joining us today in, at least in the Houston area. A little cool, but I won't ever say cold, because I know I'll get beat down from folks that really experiencing cold, but certainly a cool November, December day. I'm going back in time. We'll move forward. So thanks guys for being here today.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, Michael, this is great. Appreciate it.
So Daniel, I'll maybe start our conversation off with you, and as folks who are regulars to the show know, I like to always assume that there's at least one person watching that may not be as familiar with some of the technology. There's a lot in the industry that we could dive into, and so you can't know everything about everything. So for those that aren't familiar with the Iron Roughneck, could you give us maybe just a quick overview of the Iron Roughneck, maybe a tad bit of history, but really also helping us understand what is its purpose and what is it used for?
Sure. Yeah. I guess NOV has had a long-standing product offering in the Iron Roughneck space for over 50 years. Pretty diversified as far as different options. But to take it back a little bit and to drilling 101 effectively, at the end of the day, you need to find a way to transmit energy to break rock, either shear rock or hydraulically frac rock. And usually that transmission is through a drill string made up of a lot of different components: drill pipe, drill collars, different BHA components. And every section of that drill pipe needs to be connected through some kind of rotary shoulder type connection. And that's all conducted right there on the rig floor. And, from a conventional standpoint, and maybe even on certain rigs throughout the world, the typical method was throwing chain, wrapping chain around a drill pipe, and effectively spinning it in and utilizing what in the industry we call a tong, which is effectively almost like a big crescent wrench, to effectively torque or tighten up those connections. Effectively, what an Iron Roughneck does is it's a mechanical machine, if you will, that clamps or bites on to the tool joint, which is the very ends of each section of drill pipe, a threaded connection that, as I mentioned, using hydraulical and mechanical advantage, it effectively screws in that connection like a bolt to a nut. And then effectively the final process is torquing that connection up to a set magnitude of torque. And that's how you effectively deliver that RPM and torque and transmission of energy all the way down to the bit. And so, as I mentioned, NOV has been in the space for a long time. And really this has been a staple as far as rig equipment on today's rigs, and has been for some time now.
No, and to your point, I know that it's been, yeah, like you said, a mainstay. I mean, we're showing graphics from the 1970s of this technology, and certainly has been a game changer both in efficiency and operations, and quite candidly, even especially on the safety side as well. So that's really cool, and of course as you're in here, then you see in different variations, both land and offshore, which is really neat. So as we're kind of fast forwarding to today, the Iron Roughneck has been around for a while, has been through many through really all of the development and growth in the oil and gas industry in terms of looking at the rise of hydraulic fracturing and the need for continuing to have further and longer laterals, things like that. So as we look at the Iron Roughneck and specifically today's conversation, which we're talking about the upgrade, could you maybe help paint a picture as to what brought us to the point today where we have this upgrade offering?
Yeah, Michael, I think you hit the nail on the head. Our industry is forever changing as far as technology, and NOV is an innovative company. Finding solutions. As you mentioned, there's been many different iterations of design of roughnecks over the years, whether it's offshore or on land. Whether it's the control mechanisms, the sensor schemes. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the roughneck, it's really just making up the connection, but it's doing it safely, repeatably, um, and having that confidence that you're getting the accuracy every single time. Um, and what we're talking about today is more focused on our ST80 line of iron roughnecks. They've been around for over 20 years. There's a large fleet base that are out there. There's some that I know, in fact, that are probably 15, if not 20 years old, that are probably making up connections in a desert in Oman right now. But the intent behind this upgrade kit that we're talking about today is in this down market, this budget strained environment, we wanted to provide a solution to extend the life of an ST80, to increase its torque capability in an economic fashion while maintaining, still that confidence, that familiarity as far as operation. And really, that was kind of the driving goal. I was contacted, I guess it's been a few years now, um, by a drilling contractor in West Texas, and they approached me with a concern and issue that the drill pipe that they had recently selected for this particular well was a little bit bigger, had a higher torque premium connection, and they had an ST80 on the rig. And they were encountering some issues as far as maybe not hitting that high torque that was necessary to break out that connection. And that was a primary reason that kind of fueled the development of this project. Um, and we kind of saw that we want to get ahead of the curve and see that trend. For other operators or drilling contractors that were making that transition, um, providing the equipment that would give them the confidence to effectively make and break those connections. And so instead of providing an alternative via another one of our iron roughnecks, um, we wanted to develop a kit that would effectively upgrade their existing one. We thought that that was most economical, and put them in a place to easily transition.
Right. So I know that there is this a constant. I'm almost think of like the red phone, a hotline to customers and end users that always having that dialogue. And so I know that there were some really good conversations and insight that happened between yourself, folks like Chip and others on the team, and customers that really instigated the development of this kit, which is really unique to the product grouping. So can you talk a little bit about what did that look like? How did that sound? And what really drove the development of this upgrade kit?
Sure, yeah, it was. It wasn't just that one phone call on the bat phone that I picked
Yeah.
up. It was a collective effort, and we saw that consistency. It was coming from a lot of different regions throughout the globe, a lot of different contractors, and we wanted to get ahead and develop a kit that we believe would offer value. Like I said, extend the life of that asset to them. We saw this transition coming with the larger drill pipe and the higher torque connections. It offering better transmission of torque and weight on bit. This was a trend that we saw coming from operators, and so again, to maybe not so much react, but proactively develop something based off what the market and the industry was kind of leaning towards. That's kind of a derivative of going out, talking to the market, finding what's real, what needs to be developed, and I think that it was a very collective effort to kind of drive this project.
Right. So, just as a quick recap for those that may have just joined us, having a conversation about the Iron Roughneck, and specifically talking about the Iron Roughneck upgrade with Daniel Meinders, who is a product line manager within NOV's rig technology segment. And Chip Russo, who is the sales account manager within Rig Technologies as well. So if you would like to ask a question of our guest experts here about the Iron Roughneck and specifically the ST80, don't be bashful. They are primed and ready to answer your questions regarding the ST80 and specifically the ST80 upgrade. So we'll continue our conversation, but if you have a question that you've always wanted to ask, no matter how small or big, go ahead and put it in the comment section, whether you're watching us on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, and we will try to get to that in just a little bit. So, Chip, I want to pivot over to you. We're talking with Daniel, and of course, we talked about the changes in the overall landscape with respect to the drilling environment, longer laterals, certainly increase in drill string connections, both certainly the OD and length and so forth. So, if I'm standing back and I'm looking at this offering that we've been talking about, one of the questions that might come immediately to me, especially if I were familiar, is to say, okay, well, doesn't NOV already offer an alternative? I mean, don't you already have something that could satisfy the need? Why have an upgrade offering?
Absolutely. We've offered a diverse Iron Roughneck product portfolio, meeting all types of demands for years. But when we started to tackle this particular design challenge, we were conscientious of the current marketplace, the rig layouts, and the strained budgetary state that the industry is in. Our goal was to develop an upgrade kit that can be applied to ST80s that are brand new, or potentially some of the older tools that Daniel spoke to earlier, that are 10 or 15 years old, a kit that is retrofittable and meets the torque requirement of today's premium connections. This kit will, it enables an ST80 owner to extend the life of their existing asset versus having to identify capital to go out and purchase a new Iron Roughneck. So this kit's priced roughly about a third of what the larger Iron Roughnecks would cost. And of course, we also had to look, I mentioned a little bit earlier about the rig floor and the real estate on the rig floor. That's a huge factor. Oftentimes, these larger Roughnecks were on larger rigs. As we're putting these premium connections and going longer laterals with these more capable, smaller rigs, we have to look at space and how much space is available. These ST80s have already been on these rigs, and so we know that tool with its higher torque will be what's needed there.
Right. So I'll stick with you, Chip. If folks have been tracking with us here and say, okay, I certainly understand the history of the ST80, understand certainly the state that we're in, both as an industry and even as a kind of a macroeconomic standpoint. Dive it in, understand the reason for the upgrade kit specifically. So maybe getting a little more granular, could you talk specifically about, if I am going to go ahead and get this kit, what does it actually do or achieve for those that want to see it implemented?
So let's look at it like a car analogy, right? Because it's easy for everybody to kind of relate to something that they have. Effectively, it takes the existing ST80 and it gives it a boost of power, like adding a forced induction system, a turbo, or a supercharger to your car. So while maintaining the footprint, the cycle time of the tool, same user interface that the operator's used to using, this upgrade increases the makeup and breakout torque by 25%. Current ST80s they're rated at 60,000 foot-pounds makeup and 80,000 foot-pounds breakout torque. After this upgrade is installed, the now ST80E has max makeup of 75,000 foot-pounds and a breakout torque of 95,000 foot-pounds. So this in addition to this 25% torque increase, the new hydraulics of the tool incorporate unique circuits that regulate appropriate clamp force based on the torque that's required. So it's kind of like a sweet spot system that delivers enough clamp pressure on the connection to deliver the torque without slipping on the tool joint. This upgrade maintains the same level of durability and reliability that the ST80s have been delivering for years. It meets emerging specifications that are being demanded by the operators and expanding when they're expanding their well operations and their drilling programs. And it also extends the existing assets life cycle, which ultimately saves money.
Mm. So then, Chip, how do we help folks get some additional insight and perspective with respect to getting more info on the kit? Because I know that for some, candidly, maybe coming out and seeing you might be a little bit of a challenge, though I know they would want to. So is there a way we can do a little bit of desk research?
Sure. I mean, always we want to point people to our website. So you can go to NOV.com and use the search bar, look for Iron Roughnecks in that search bar, and it'll take you to our product landing page, and then you can go and you can peruse and get the ideas there of what it is we're offering. We'll also have some flyers and such that are being passed around on LinkedIn. It's a great place, or you can just reach out to your NOV representative or email us at rig@nov.com, and any of those ways will be able to get you additional information on the product.
Okay, yeah, because I know it's really I can remember the first time I was actually able to walk up to an ST80 like in person, and at first I'm looking, I'm like, what does this thing do? Like, why is it here? But then to see it in person was really really impressive, and even more so just the intuitive nature of even how it works. So that's really cool. So yeah, I think folks will really get some needed benefit out of the ST80E for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. All right. Well, we do have some questions, I believe. I think I saw a couple come in the chat as we were talking. So let's go ahead and bring in Shelby to see if we can get some of those questions answered. I don't need to be the only one asking questions around here.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can step in with some audience ones. So Michael, kind of to your point, you just mentioned how seeing it in person is so much more impactful than necessarily seeing it online. That's great as well. And so Katie on Facebook was wondering, is there a way that folks could see this either in person or check out the upgraded equipment?
Well, that's a great question. We have these kits in stock at any of our global aftermarket repair facilities, including the one here in Houston, where we are bringing one of our own tools in from our rental fleet, and we're going to be upgrading an ST80 to the ST80E. But yeah, you can come out and see it. Eyes on, real stuff that's actually happening is always a good way to experience.
Great. No, that's good. So I think there was another question in the comments. I just had it actually, and I missed it. But I know that folks are always wanting to know, and I know that there's always this balance of pull the curtain back and have it closed. But looking at the longevity of this product line, I know that there's always continued growth and development. But as you look at the feedback, as you look at kind of the horizon, do you continue to see feedback from customers on the value add that these units bring to their operations?
Yeah, I think so, definitely. Again, there's a reason why we've manufactured over 2,200 ST80s over the past 20 years. I think that kind of speaks to the popularity, the familiarity, the value of the product. These tools have been around the world and been on a lot of different rigs, and that's why I think it was so instrumental in developing an upgrade kit of keeping those tools alive. Again, as Chip mentioned it earlier, we have a very broad product portfolio when it comes to iron roughnecks. Whatever reach, whatever torque, whatever feedback from a sensor aspect. I think that we've definitely been a leader in that technology. But for those that are again, budget stretched, cash strained, we wanted to offer a solution to expand their existing equipment, whether that be on a mechanical or a hydraulic or a DC rig. We felt that this was a broad spanning upgrade that again would meet that application, meet that demand, and be available to all.
And I don't know if you can talk to it specifically, but I know that part of the support with respect to these units is also in the training and providing that level of support as well. Can either of you talk to that? Are there opportunities or avenues that folks either that would be new to the ST80 or maybe are familiar but might need some either remedial or support training? Are there things like that are available?
Yeah, that we have training available through our department here in Houston that can be dispatched globally, whether it be on location in the classroom or on the rig. But when it comes to the SD80, it's quite intuitive as
Mm,
far as how to operate this. Effectively, you have a control panel with hydraulic levers actuated to move the tool to set that torque magnitude that you want to make up. And the feedback that I've gotten over the last 15 years is a lot of roughnecks, motor hands on these rig crews. They effectively learned on an ST80, and I kind of wear that as a badge of honor. The fact that whether being at an industry event or talking at OTC or just being out in the field, hearing these stories of guys that are young in their career or a little bit more mature in their career, rehashing experiences on an ST80 when there may have been instances where it actually wasn't an NOV ST80, but because of that brand, because of that familiarity of that particular model, they kind of just coincide that with the iron roughneck that they had learned on. And so I think there's a deep history of that tool. Definitely, it's been a flagship brand of NOV, and we're still making strides. Again, I mentioned NOV's innovation. What we're doing right now from an equipment automation standpoint, we're incorporating that into iron roughneck designs. And so we definitely are not resting on our laurels.
right, right. Well, great. Well, certainly been an insightful conversation and really, I would just say encouraging to know that the team is diving in deep, eyes wide open, understand that even in the challenging times that business still has to go on, and you're looking at that and listening and coming up with some innovative approaches. So appreciate you both sharing the perspective and making us aware of this opportunity. So again, been talking with Daniel Meinders, product line manager for pipe handling, and Chip Russo, the strategic account manager, and been talking about the ST80 Iron Roughneck upgrade offering from NOV. So appreciate the insight to both of you. And again, if anyone's looking for additional insight, you can find additional info at NOV.com, and in the search bar, type in Iron Roughneck, and it'll take you straight there, where you can also get in contact with folks like Chip and Daniel and others. So appreciate the perspective.
Thanks, Ma. Appreciate the opportunity.
Appreciate it, Michael. Thanks so much.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and pivot back over to Shelby to get the answer for today's Rig Geek post of the week. And I am very confident that you had some correct answers in for today's trivia question.
We did. We got several people got the answer right, which is exciting. I always love. That's why I said I was excited about this particular Rig Geek question, because I felt like it was the perfect throwback. I knew some of our Rig Geeks would know it and would remember that. And like I said, we do have another picture we're going to show that I just love. I think it's so 1970s. So yeah, this is the one we showed at the beginning when we asked the question, what was the nickname of the first Iron Roughneck released by Varco in the 1970s? So we had this one. And then the answer, which like we mentioned, a lot of you got right, is Bigfoot. And here's that other awesome throwback photo. I love seeing it. I don't know if they're quite bell bottoms, but they're definitely, those pants are definitely fanning out a little bit, like in the 70s. So I just love it.
Yeah, I mean, some of us may or may not have recently worn bell bottoms. I mean, it might be a fashion style that still is relevant. You never know.
That's
Not
right.
that I know from personal experience. I'm just saying.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. I would love to know if anybody can tell me the rig that this picture was taken on, which I think may not be possible given the limited viewing angle. But I always appreciate the sleuths out there that start down that rabbit hole. But anyway, no, that's great. Well, thanks, Shelby. That's good insight. So appreciate your help. And as always, we certainly appreciate your help as a viewer, making this an engaging and insightful show. So if you have any questions for us, feel free to send us an email at socialmedia@nov.com, or you can give us a call. And certainly also you can visit us on our website, nov.com. If you want to look at previous episodes, you can easily type in nov.com/live, where you can look at all of our previous NOV Live and NOV Live International episodes as well. So look forward to seeing you in the comments there as well. So from all of us here at NOV, thanks for watching and for listening, and we'll talk to you again next time.